Hi, my name is Matt Connolly, and I'm going to provide a very brief introduction to post-humanist psychology. Post-humanist psychology is a radical approach to theory and practice, which combines actor network theory and governmentality studies in order to transcend intellectual boundaries and achieve generalised symmetry between human and non-human objects. Ontological dualisms are inherent of psychological praxis. This may be objective and subjective, material and culture, agency and structure, and so on. However, despite the recent turn to social constructionism and discourse offering an epistemological challenge to this way of thinking, it still nevertheless represents a rather naive approach to knowledge, since social can't be invoked as an explanation because it too needs explaining. What's more, psychological is not merely spoken, but also performed through networks enacted of both materially and discursively heterogeneous relations. This indicates a move rather from postmodernism and instead towards amodernism. Okay, so now I'm just going to give an overview of the main concepts that make up post-humanist psychology, beginning with actor network theory, or rather ANT for short. However, it's not my intention to give a detailed account here, since each aspect carries an extensive body of literature, and so useful resources and references can be found at the end of this video. ANT is an empirical approach, which maintains that objects, contrary to being a priori or monocausal in existence, are rather networks continually made and remade of heterogeneous relations between human and non-human actors. Methodologically, it provides a diverse intellectual toolkit in which to follow the actors, so to speak, and subsequently trace these associations. With this, psychology is considered here as a performative concept, which does not represent realities, but instead creates them. As has already been documented in the literature, actor network theory alone is insufficient in providing a strong critical analysis, and so must be combined with the conceptual vocabulary of governmentality studies, in particular Rose and Miller's examination of political rationalities and governmental technologies. This will assist practitioners, and hopefully in turn the general public, in comprehending the divergent ways of thinking about power, namely what an object is for and how it is experienced. Post-humanist psychology, then, doesn't discriminate between natural and human kinds, but instead considers them in terms of a hybrid collective. This means that neither the natural nor the human can be used to explain, as the popular conception of psychology, but rather what must be explained, the consequence of agency and not the cause. Ethically, this is important for psychological practice in particular, as based on previous assertions that psychology is also an art of government, that is, a biopolitical way of knowing ourselves and so defining what it means to be human, it should be imperative to any agenda working for positive social change not to privilege the human and so remove the detriments of foundationalism. In this video, I've attempted to introduce, albeit very briefly, a new approach to theory and practice that advocates a move away from the current perspective of psychology of the psychological and towards a psychology of heterogeneous associations. Of course, there's more than can be said in such a short period of time, and so viewers are encouraged to pursue each aspect further by engaging in the literature, some of which can be found at the end of this video. Also, any question can be directed to me at the email address below, and as always, feedback is much appreciated. To conclude, this project has been likened to breaking a butterfly on a wheel, and I'd be inclined to agree with this notion. However, it must be emphasised that there is a pragmatic appeal to it as well. Not only will it revolutionise the way in which we conceive psychology as a profession, a body of theory and indeed a practice, but the current socio-political climate of fluidity, namely neoliberalism, indicates that there is a pressing need to discuss how physical and intellectual control work in conjunction with one another. Thanks for watching. If not merely for the sake of the discipline, let's continue to promote the post-humanist crusade in psychology.